tracing back any single brilliant idea that we know of, you will definitely find someone, somewhere, someplace where that brilliant idea was ridiculed at some point. From Picasso's art to now digital art to the internet, every single brilliant idea that we know today was ridiculed in history in its early phases. And as you are now in a phase where you can appreciate things happening right in front of our eyes, we are making history. You are part of history. Now, we mentioned yesterday, and a lot of feedback that I received, how many participants appreciated that SuperBridge is bringing you voices from parts of the world that we don't usually hear from in that context, particularly when we discuss investments, when we discuss plans, and when we discuss Africa. And we had previewed for you today one of our main panels and discussions for today will be focusing on opportunities and challenges, investment opportunities, and what the world sees as risk and the future of Africa in that realm. So we're going to be setting up the stage for our next topic, which is Africa's underrated opportunity, challenging perceptions through partnerships. And yesterday we discussed the difference between perceived risk and actual risk. And our esteemed guests who are leaders in their countries, specifically African countries, will be giving you their own perspectives and giving you the view on the ground. Basically, this session is going to highlight, and I'm going to step away as they set up, is going to highlight the clear opportunity that is presented by massive infrastructure potential transformation of physical and virtual connectivity along with mobilities in future cities. We're talking about African countries like Morocco, Nigeria, Egypt, and Benin. And we heard yesterday some of the details and more specific highlights coming from Benin. In today's session, which is going to be moderated by a professional communicator with decades of experience in this field, she is the founder and managing director of Leaders on Purpose. She also hosts Leaders on Purpose podcasts. Hailing from Morocco, we're going to welcome the moderator, Manal Bernoussi. And please note that please make your way on stage. You're going to be in the first seat. Thank you, Manal. Please note that this session is also offering translation into French. If you would like this to be translated, put your hand up and we will get you a headset for translation. Okay, Manal, I'm going to ask you a quick question as they set up. I know you said you have your quick intro for the panel. I'd like you to include in your intro as well some perspective coming from Morocco. Again, we mentioned some of the countries we are hearing from today, some of the voices are not voices we hear from on global stages, specifically events like this. So we'd love to hear a little perspective coming from Morocco. Welcome, please, Manal Bernoussi.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for this introduction. Good morning, everyone. It is such a pleasure and honor to be with you here today. I am Manal Bernoussi. I'm an international moderator from Morocco, indeed. And welcome to all of you in this very awaited panel discussion on Africa's underrated opportunity. So this session will shed light on the tremendous potential that lies within Africa. We're talking about a continent whose population will double in the next 20 to 25 years, making a market of 2.4 billion people with increasingly dynamic and diverse economies and cultures and resources. So as we will be delving into this conversation, our aim is really to challenge the perceptions and to dispel the myths. And I believe it is our responsibility as Africans to do that and to really shed the light on the tremendous opportunities that lie ahead our continent. So today I have the privilege to be sitting down with a distinguished lineup of speakers, great African leaders and African doers who will be walking us through the latest updates as we collectively seek to unlock the potential of Africa. So please join me in welcoming to the stage Her Excellency Aurélie Adam Soul Zoumaro, who is Benin's Minister of Digital Technology and Digitalization. As she's making her way to the stage, she holds a telecom and ICT degree from Télécom Sud Paris and a certificate in public policy management and leadership. She started her career as an international telco operator, then joined the consulting industry. And in 2009, she joined ACEP Benin, impacting Africa's frequency allocations. In 2017, at age 34, ladies and gentlemen, she became Benin's Minister of Digital Technology, driving its digital transformation. Welcome to you. Bienvenue à vous, Madame la Ministre. It is now my privilege to welcome to the stage Her Excellency Dr. Rita Mazour, Minister Delegate in charge of Digital Transition and Administration Reform of the Kingdom of Morocco. Welcome to you, Your Excellency. Prior to that, Minister Mazour worked as an entrepreneur and as an academic on developing digital solutions that have strong social impact on the continent. She holds a PhD from Carnegie Mellon University and a master's and bachelor's degree from the Swiss Federal Institute of Technology in Lausanne. Dr. Mazour has received multiple international awards for her work. Now it is my privilege to welcome to the stage Her Excellency Dr. Sahar Nasser, who was named one of the most influential women in the Arab economic sector in 2015. Please join us on stage. She is a former Egyptian Minister of International Cooperation and Investment. She advised Egypt's economic reform program and sits on various financial institution boards. She known for enhancing official development assistance. She oversaw reforms, SME development, and international partnerships through the World Bank Group. She also represented Egypt as governor to multiple global financial institutions. Welcome to you, Dr. Sahar. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it is not often that I have a panel so prominently led by women, and it is my privilege to introduce to you now someone that is, in addition to his public service, known for his advocacy for gender empowerment. So please join me in giving a very, very warm welcome to the stage to Dr. Obafemi Kadri Hamzat, who is Deputy Governor of Lagos State since 2019. Please join us on stage. He brings a wealth of experience from academia, finance, and engineering. He joined the public service after a successful career that included roles at Merrill Lynch, Morgan Stanley. As commissioner at the Ministry of Science and Technology, he spearheaded technology integration in Lagos State. And as I mentioned, in addition to his public service, he's known for his advocacy on development, economics, social welfare, and so many other topics. Welcome to you, sir. It's a pleasure to have you. Now, thank you all for joining us today. As you know, we are on a tight schedule this morning, and we'll be doing 2 rounds of questions, so let's dive in. Dr. Sahar, let's begin with you. What are some of the most compelling reasons and opportunities for investors to engage and invest in Africa?
Thank you very much. Thanks, Manal. And let me start with thanking the organizers, Super Bridge Council, for setting that platform and bringing different countries, economies, but also investors and entrepreneurs into such an interesting today's discussion. So potentials. I think Africa has great potentials. First of all, I want to start with the market, the size of the market. And it's not just a large market, but it's a growing market, a young market, and has great potentials, because at the end of the day, investors seek opportunities. I want to make sure that they have decent returns on their investments. And that's a market where, with the free trade agreements, it makes it even larger, it gives it even higher opportunities. I think that's number one. Second, the strategic location. I was just discussing with the founder of the super bridge. I think when you think not just of the road and the Silk Road or the Belt and Road Initiative, but it's actually connecting Africa with Europe. If you look at the Suez Canal, especially where I come from in Egypt, so you connect Africa with Asia, with Europe, so that makes it even a larger market if you're export oriented. Then natural endowments. Africa has lots of natural, and they are tapped on, as Manal, you've labeled the session. That's even makes the opportunities larger because there is lots of untapped opportunities in the region. Young population, which brings me to the human capital element. So you have large skilled labor. And whenever I have discussions with investors, they always refer to skilled labor with lots of potentials to even develop their capacities and skills, high productivity, and hence that's why you see lots of investment Europe and Asia and US heading to our part of the world. I think that's these are the key highlights for
Absolutely.
the market.
That's
Thanks.
a great start. Thank you so much for sharing that insight with us. And we'll come back to you with some follow-up questions on specifically Egypt. Moving on to Morocco now. Your Excellency Rita Mazour, we are keen to hear about the recent developments in the country, especially in the context of our panel discussion centered on challenging global perceptions of Africa. Can you please share with us some key facts about Morocco's infrastructure, both in terms of physical and virtual connectivity?
So thank you, Manal, for this question. It's true that African story has yet to be told and retold. So over the past 20 years and under the reign of His Majesty King Mohammed VI, Morocco has worked substantially on improving its infrastructure. Today, Morocco is the top 20 in the world in its logistical connectivity. We have a high-speed train that connects Tangier to Casablanca. We have more than 1,800 kilometers of highway roads. We have the Tangier Med port is the 4th in the world in the Port Performance Index. We have 16 airports, including 12 international airports. The internet penetration rate is as high as 90%. Morocco is the biggest exporter in the world to the European Union of automobile parts and automobile sector in general. And there isn't a single plane in the world that flies today that does not have parts produced in Morocco. So we're in the aeronautic sector. We're also, thanks to this infrastructure, today Morocco is hosting some really big international events. So the COP22 was hosted in Morocco in 2016. I know the COP is going to be organized in Dubai next month. Just last week, Marrakesh hosted the annual assembly of the IMF and the World Bank, which means the international worldwide financial community gathered in Marrakesh. And in 2030, we're hosting the Soccer World Cup alongside Spain and Portugal, and that's just a testimony of our strong infrastructure, both physical and virtual.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing that. Morocco and Africa are increasingly connected to the world and at the forefront of major international events. Your Excellency, Dr. Obathemi, we heard from the Moroccan perspective. Now, Nigeria is the largest economy in Africa. As we are focusing today on challenging global perceptions and misconceptions, could you please share some key facts about Nigeria's digital economy?
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. So first of all, ICT, for example, contributed 14% of the nominal GDP of Nigeria, and that includes telecoms. Also, just 2021, Africa has about 640 million internet active subscribers, but 144 million of those are Nigerians, which is about 25%. So it's a huge country. Again, in 2021, we actually licensed 5G technology in Nigeria today, and they are local companies. So today there are 3 major 5G subscribers for Nigeria today. Also, in terms of fintech, we are the largest fintech in Africa, and then of course we are the largest startup in Nigeria also, and that includes digital. I work in Lagos State, and Lagos State is just a state in Nigeria. We have 36 states. But we are the largest in Nigeria and of course in Africa. So companies like Flutterwave, Andela, Paystock, Opay, and all those actually originated from Nigeria. And what did we do? What we decided to do was to look at areas where we have young students. So where we have universities, campuses, polytechnics, and technical institutions. And about 10, 14 years ago, we pushed broadband there. We actually deliberately, as a state government, pushed, and that improved that ecosystem in terms of broadband penetration in that locality. And so all the young guys with their brain and talent actually gravitated toward the area where we call Yaba. And so what other thing we are also doing is to make sure that we have private-led sector development of IT. So today, we are building a broadband fiber across the state. It's about 2,800 kilometers right now, which allows us to do smart city in terms of ITS, our intelligent transport system, in terms of security, and then, of course, in terms of identity. Because one of the challenges around the world, as you know, is identity theft. So one of the things we've been able to do in Nigeria is actually digitally register over 100 million people. So which has actually allowed us to be able to prevent identity theft and issues like that.
Amazing. That's really interesting. Thank you for sharing that perspective, and we'll follow up on that a little bit later on. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we mentioned that this conversation is happening both in French and in English, so if you do not speak French, please make sure you have a headset or raise your hand. Someone from the team will hand you a headset. We're embracing the cultural diversity of our African continent. Je me tourne vers vous, Madame la ministre Aurélie Adams-Soul-Zoumarou. Il y a donc de nombreuses idées préconçues sur le continent africain, comme on le mentionnait à l'instant. Beaucoup ne savent pas ce qui se passe réellement sur le terrain. Alors, je sais que le Bénin a tracé la voie en matière d'intelligence artificielle en Afrique. Ça, c'est quelque chose qu'on ne sait pas forcément. Et donc, vous avez développé une stratégie nationale solide. Parlez-nous un peu des grandes lignes de cette stratégie et comment pensez-vous que cette initiative en matière d'intelligence artificielle peut encourager la coopération entre les nations africaines et aussi avec le reste du monde?
Merci beaucoup, Manal. Bonjour à tous. Alors oui, vous avez raison, il faut apporter un peu la voix francophone à ces discussions. Le Bénin, c'est un pays, pour ceux qui ne connaissent pas, de l'Afrique de l'Ouest. Nous sommes un pays, en termes de superficie, on va dire petit. Et quand on est petit, il faut être malin. Et donc, au Bénin, nous avons la vision, en fait, de pouvoir mettre sur pied justement une économie numérique qui sert toute la région. Vous avez entendu Madame la ministre, Mesdames les ministres, et puis le député gouverneur de Lagos. Chacun, au niveau de son pays, veut faire de grandes choses. Nous, au Bénin, nous croyons au fait que tous ensemble, nous pouvons faire encore plus grand. Nous pouvons aller plus loin. Et donc, notre stratégie en matière d'intelligence artificielle est dans cette optique-là. Nous visons beaucoup la coopération internationale. Nous pensons que tout seul, bâtir une industrie, bâtir des usages qui durent, c'est compliqué. Et l'Afrique, vous l'avez dit à juste titre dans vos propos liminaires, doit être vue comme un marché tout entier. Le Bénin seul ne peut pas constituer un marché, mais quand on le met à côté du Nigeria, eh bien, vous voyez tout de suite que nous avons raison de nous positionner comme la porte d'entrée vers l'Afrique de l'Ouest. Nous pensons qu'à partir du Bénin, compte tenu des politiques fiscales que nous avons, compte tenu des infrastructures, parce que nous sommes passés en termes de haut débit de 25% de pénétration aujourd'hui à près de 60% en quelques années, parce que nous avons beaucoup investi dans la fibre, nous pensons qu'en formant notre jeunesse à être à l'avant-garde des métiers d'aujourd'hui et de demain, nous pouvons être la porte d'entrée vers les autres pays africains. C'est comme ça que nous nous positionnons. Alors, cette stratégie d'intelligence artificielle et de mégadonnées tourne autour de 4 pôles. Le premier, c'est en fait de nous dire que nous devons bâtir des solutions qui sont orientées pratiques. Nous ne voulons pas de l'intelligence artificielle juste pour la tendance, juste parce qu'on en parle. Nous voulons d'une intelligence artificielle qui est fondée sur nos besoins. Et d'ailleurs, pourquoi nous l'avons pensé? On peut se demander, mais est-ce qu'il n'y a pas des problématiques plus importantes pour nous? Ben non, parce que nous pensons que l'intelligence artificielle peut nous aider à résoudre justement nos problèmes. Nos problèmes liés à la nutrition, liés à la santé, liés à la logistique, liés à beaucoup d'autres choses. Donc nous voulons des solutions pratiques. Le deuxième pôle, c'est le pôle de la formation. Et sur ce pôle-là, c'est ce que je disais tantôt, nous voulons former notre jeunesse, non pas seulement pour le Bénin, mais aussi pour le Maroc, mais aussi pour l'Égypte, mais aussi pour le Nigeria. Donc c'est comme ça que nous positionnons ce volet formation. Le troisième volet, c'est le volet coopération. Parce que justement, nous avons besoin des expertises d'autres pays. Nous avons besoin aussi que nous soyons en veille vis-à-vis de la recherche. Et le dernier pôle, c'est bien sûr, non pas le moins important, c'est la gouvernance des données. Nous sommes en Afrique l'un des pays qui a le plus réussi la dématérialisation. Aujourd'hui, nous avons plus de 200 services publics en ligne. Quand nos investisseurs viennent dans notre pays, ils n'ont pas à parler avec l'administration publique, avec les agents. Ils peuvent faire toutes leurs formalités en ligne, depuis déjà leur pays d'origine. Et donc, cela facilite les affaires au Bénin. Et grâce à cela, nous avons une masse de données que nous estimons justement être en capacité d'être traitées par les techniques d'intelligence artificielle. Donc, voilà pourquoi nous pensons que cette stratégie était importante pour nous et nous travaillons à la mettre en œuvre.
Merci beaucoup, Madame la Ministre, et félicitations pour cette vision sur l'intelligence artificielle. Ladies and gentlemen, Her Excellency just shared with us their vision on artificial intelligence and the extent of the digital services they offer within the government, and also their vision for artificial intelligence as a core topic and strategy within their country. Now we are going to move on to a second round of questions, Your Excellencies, and we'll have the opportunity to delve deeper into some specific initiatives and projects related to what you're doing in your respective countries. Your Excellency, Minister Mazur, Morocco has made significant progress in infrastructure development. Can you please share with us a successful project aimed at bridging the digital skill, especially in rural areas? And what key challenges have you encountered, and how can these experiences benefit other African nations to enhance digital connectivity?
So, as I mentioned earlier, internet penetration rate in Morocco is as high as 90%. And this was because Morocco established a special fund, a special telecom fund, that supports telecom operators to operate in sparsely populated areas. So in 2018, we identified more than 10,000 localities that either did not have internet coverage or had poor internet coverage. And thanks to that fund and thanks to the collaboration of all the telecom operators, now more than 96% of these localities are covered with high-speed internet. So the telecom part is there, internet penetrations. Moroccans are already online, are already using digital technology, are already connected. What we're working now is not just have Moroccans use digital technology. We're working on having Moroccans produce digital technology in the cities, in suburban and also rural areas. So Morocco today produces about 8,000 IT professionals per year through initial training. And we're also upskilling another 5,000 per year people who are trained in other, like in math, physics, and they get reskills into digital. And we're working on multiplying that number by 4 or 5 to reach 50,000 people, IT professional produced per year. And this is through collaboration with all universities, vocational schools, coding schools in big cities, small cities, rural areas. And we have trainings in coding, AI. Every single university in Morocco now has an AI program, cybersecurity programs, and they're extremely talented. They win awards, like very international awards. Like just a few examples, there are these Morocco University students who win a NASA International Award. They got the top prize on having an AI system that can detect trash in the ocean. Other ones got top 3 in the world award in the coding contests. So very talented. So our population is very young, very talented in STEM, and we're working on making them a producing force of digital technology for our use, also for African. There are a lot of scholarship for African students to come and study in Morocco. We have a lot of collaboration with Africa, like the GITEX Africa, that we had people that we had more than 120 countries come all over and showcase what Africa can do in digital technology.
That's amazing to hear all these ongoing initiatives and also how innovative the young entrepreneurs are on the topics of importance. Thank you, Your Excellency, for sharing that perspective. Dr. Sahar Nasser, as a former Minister of Investment and International Cooperation in Egypt, can you highlight some of the key strategies and policies that Egypt has implemented to attract foreign investment and promote international cooperation in the digital sector?
In fact, I'll make reference to the opening session yesterday as highlighted by the ministers from UAE. I think business environment matters a lot. And of course, we cannot turn a blind eye to the challenges the region currently faces in neighboring countries in North Africa and MENA region in general. So business environment is critical because the only way to attract investments in especially foreign direct investment is that the investors feel very confident about the market. They see that the reforms are sustainable and irreversible, and hence improving the business environment, the legal and regulatory framework were critical. Especially that we also came out of times of our uprisings, revolutions, so to gain back the confidence, it was number one is changing the legal framework, adjusting several of the laws, investment law, companies laws, stock market laws, and so forth. So cutting red tape, removing bureaucracy, and the level playing field, because that was one issue that was brought up with the private sector. So that would be number one. Number two is access to finance, because in general in Africa, we can do much more in terms of improving access to finance, and so you'll see most of our countries have adopted as part of also sustainable development goals like inclusive finance strategies, and especially focusing on SMEs, which accounts for the largest portion of the enterprises in Africa. So that was also key, and digital, as indicated by the former minister and the minister, is important. So digital financing, e-financing, mobile banking, that has helped a lot, and I think that was one key reform, is improving access to finance. And also for those who were World Bank ratios showed that they're at a disadvantage, which is young women, startups, so these were priorities and incentives were offered to them. Third is infrastructure. So I think infrastructure is important, connectivity, and in Africa we have landlocked countries, so this is how we can connect through highways, roads, railways, flights, rivers and seas. I think that would help a lot promote exports and make use of the free trade agreement that you referred to, Manal, in your introduction. So that's the three main fronts: infrastructure, and of course we have to highlight also the renewable energy and sustainability, because Africa has lots of potential, and Egypt, of course, as part of Africa, with the solar and wind farms, because that's also a sector that has not been sufficiently tapped on. I think that would also bring lots of investment to Egypt, but also to the whole of Africa, where we belong to. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Absolutely, Africa has the opportunity to leapfrog and also create its own path towards sustainability, and that is definitely a main focus at the moment. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts on that. Your Excellency, Deputy Governor of Lagos, Nigeria's digital economy is a key driver of growth. Could you highlight for us some successful digital projects or initiatives that have significantly contributed to Nigeria's economic development, and what opportunities exist for cross-border collaborations with other African countries or abroad?
Thank you very much. Some of the exciting ones for us in terms of projects is the connectivity of our schools. Also, let's take, for example, a state like Lagos. We have more primary school than the whole of Ghana, for example. So I don't know what you call it here, but that's like the 1st to 6th grade. So connecting all of them, making sure that they have access to internet in all the primary schools and all the secondary schools. So remember I mentioned the metropolitan fiber connectivity that we're doing. So the idea is we have 6 lines, 5 to be shared by private sector, but 1 is dedicated to government agencies, hospitals, schools, government buildings, and all the rest. So that allows us to have connectivity of all government activities, and that's really ongoing now. So that's exciting for us. The other one is what we call the One Health infrastructure for us. Part of the challenge is if somebody lives in, say, Sharjah today, and then he comes to visit a friend in Dubai, as an example, part of the problem we have is if that person gets sick and he goes to hospital in Dubai, how do you access that medical data in Sharjah, for example? So our initiative on the One Health is how to connect all our hospitals in our state to make sure that you have access to any data in any hospital, anywhere it is, so that when people go to the hospital, you really don't need to ask them much questions. You just need to get their data, and then because we also have unique identification for each and everybody, it's easy to then track. So all they need to know is the identification number. You put it in, and then you're able to get all the medical information. So we're able to start that with 12 hospitals, for example, and then we are progressing that. So in terms of those are good projects that is actually galvanizing how we deliver services to the citizens, and of course, helping us with improving the economy. So in terms of cross-border advantages and collaboration, so Africa has the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement that sort of creates a borderless Africa, moving goods and so on and so forth. So part of the initiative that I think we should leverage on is how do we integrate the financial services? So if I go to Egypt, for example, I don't have a bank in Egypt, I don't bank there. So how do I make sure I can move so those are the type of initiatives that we're working on to make sure that when you actually move goods, you can also move your financial services real time. And the deployment of technology actually has assisted in making sure that at least when you move around, you are able to actually do. So we are doing that intra-Nigeria now, but the idea is we should be able to collaborate with Benin Republic, Ghana, Togo, and the rest, so that at least when people move around, they don't need to carry cash. They can just move around and do their financial services in terms of collaboration. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And indeed, where there are challenges, there are opportunities. So that's a call also for the entrepreneurs in the room to help find solutions for these challenges. Thank you, Your Excellency, for sharing that. I am going to switch back to French, if you would like to please put your headsets on. Madame la Ministre, comment pensez-vous que l'Afrique, et en particulier le Bénin, peut attirer des investissements nationaux et étrangers dans le secteur de l'intelligence artificielle? Vous avez mentionné ce secteur qui est d'une importance pour vous avec une stratégie claire que vous nous avez partagée tout à l'heure. Quelles sont les politiques probablement fiscales ou les incitations financières qui ont été mises en place et qui peuvent servir à stimuler ces investissements?
Alors, avec la stratégie, ce que nous avons fait, c'est que nous avons demandé à nos partenaires, aux entreprises, ce qu'elles voudraient justement pour s'impliquer dans la mise en œuvre de la stratégie d'intelligence artificielle du Bénin. Et ce qu'ils nous ont dit, c'est que premièrement, ils ont besoin effectivement d'incitations fiscales. C'est nécessaire. Et aujourd'hui, au Bénin, nous avons non seulement une loi qui accompagne les PME, les entreprises, mais spécifiquement un volet qui concerne les start-up, de façon à ce que toute start-up, notamment dans ce secteur, ce domaine de l'IA, qui veut faire des choses avec le Bénin, puisse avoir des incitations fiscales, puisse avoir de l'accompagnement, de l'appui de la part de l'État, pour pouvoir donc asseoir un vrai business. Deuxièmement, ce qu'ils nous ont dit, c'est qu'ils ont besoin de main-d'œuvre qualifiée, de personnes formées, qui ont les bonnes compétences, qui ont les bonnes qualifications. Et donc, nous avons déployé au niveau de nos universités, de nos centres de formation technique et professionnelle, justement des formations qui permettent d'avoir des professionnels qualifiés pour les entreprises et pour ces start-up-là. Et ensuite, nous nous sommes aussi rendus compte que sur un autre volet, celui qui concerne justement la vision et l'intérêt politique, parce qu'en tant que dirigeants, nous avons besoin d'apporter ce qu'il faut aux entreprises pour grandir. Tout à l'heure, on a vu la formation avec, je pense, Bitmark, si j'ai bien retenu le nom, sur l'art. Je pense, par exemple, que le Bénin peut être une terre d'essai de ce type d'art qui a du mal justement à gagner l'intérêt des gens. Parce que le Bénin a une politique touristique que nous sommes en train de développer, un tourisme mémoriel, parce que le Bénin, pour ceux qui ne le savent pas, c'est un pays qui a occupé une grande place justement dans tout ce qui tourne autour de la traite négrière, de l'esclavage. Et nous ne voulons pas renier ce passé, mais au contraire, voir dans quelle mesure nous pouvons en faire un élément aussi de notre promotion pays. Et donc, nous avons une grande part de notre plan touristique qui est fondé sur le tourisme mémoriel. Et ce type d'art peut être un élément central aussi pour avoir justement une façon de montrer ce que a pu être en fait la traite négrière à l'époque de nos ancêtres. Donc, je dis, la volonté politique, la vision politique peut aussi se matérialiser par l'intérêt qu'on porte à certaines innovations et le fait qu'on amène les entreprises à les déployer dans le pays en leur fournissant, comme j'ai dit tantôt, les politiques d'incitation fiscale et la main-d'œuvre qualifiée. Donc voilà comment nous entrevoyons l'appui aux entreprises qui veulent venir justement nous aider à mettre en œuvre cette stratégie.
Merci beaucoup, c'est très clair. Merci pour ce partage. Now, ladies and gentlemen, before we wrap up this session, it's already time for us to wrap up this session. As you can see, we had a full house today, which is a testament to the interest of the audience to the development of the African continent and the investment. Probably as a final round, if I can ask you one question to the potential or one message to the potential investors in the room looking to invest in Africa, what would that be, Deputy Governor?
Well, I think for Nigeria is the fact that we seems to now have a very friendly, business-friendly federal government, removing, for example, subsidy on petroleum, which is consuming a whole lot of our resources and tying down capital. So, and then, of course, the parallel market in terms of our currency. So, removing those impediments allow people to bring in their capital. So, for example, as you know, venture capital investment into Africa actually rose by 6% last year, compared to the world where it actually gone down 34%. And out of that investment that came into Africa, I think it's about 8.6 billion. 1.9 billion of that actually came to Nigeria. So those that understand are actually coming to invest. Because like I said, the population is huge in Africa. You mentioned it in your introductory. And the fact of the matter is we have a dynamic younger generation. You know, about 60% of the population are young, dynamic, and they are tech savvy. So basically, the room is there for growth. And then, like I said, we have a business-friendly government now that seems to be able to free capital, and people, unlike most other parts of Europe where it's difficult to actually take out your money. In Africa, most of the time as a business people, you are able to take out your capital as and when you need it. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Thank you so much for sharing that. Dr. Sahar, what would be your final word to the investors in the room?
Just simple, invest in Africa for sure. It's a continent with lots of potential, untapped on, and large opportunities with high returns for sure, and sustainable.
Thank you very much. Your Excellency, Dr. Mazur, you mentioned GITEX Africa earlier. I think that's a really awaited time for us all. Would you like to give us a final word on that?
Yeah, so last May, we hosted for the first time GITEX Africa in Marrakesh, Morocco. So more than 900 exhibitors, 400 startups, 32,000 visitors from more than 120 countries, all gathered to exchange ideas and see the latest trends and opportunities in Africa. It was under the high patronage of His Majesty King Mohammed VI, because he sees digital transformation as actually a key driver of socio-economic development, job creation, growth, bring investments. Next May again, May 8 to 14, save the dates, we're hosting GITEX Africa again in Marrakesh, and it's going to be twice as big. So hope to see you all there. Come and see firsthand what Africa offers. I can talk the whole day. It doesn't compare to you come in and see in firsthand what we offer and what we can offer.
Absolutely. Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. An invitation from the minister in Morocco for a GITEX Africa happening next May. Thank you, Your Excellency. Madame la Ministre, comme mot de la fin, est-ce que vous souhaiteriez adresser un message aux investisseurs potentiels qui sont dans la salle?
Oui, bien sûr, et je vais le faire en anglais. To all investors, please, dare Africa, dare Morocco, dare Egypt, Nigeria, Benin. Africa, we have a different story to tell. And I think with what you have heard today, with what we've seen that Africa is achieving, and we will also do all what is necessary to continue to achieve as a continent, 2.5 billion people. So please, dare Africa, come to the continent, come to GITEX. I think the Morocco ministers say that, and we will be more than glad to welcome you.
Thank you very much. Well, with that, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to thank you all for being with us here today. I would like also to extend a heartfelt thanks to our panelists for their insights. And please, if you could step forward, we'll take a group photo. Thank you, everyone.